Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the truth about relaxers. Lye or sodium hydroxide also is known as a white odorless crystalline solid at room temperature. It's widely used on an industrial scale quite globally. The types of relaxers I will be discussing today are Lye and No Lye. The No Lye based ones include calcium, guanidine, potassium, and lithium hydroxide, neither of which you should ever use on your hair if you've already shampooed it. Otherwise, you need to wait 24 to 48 hours. In the relaxing process, what actually happens during a relaxer? The chemical relaxer is permanently rearranging the basic structure of your hair. It's taking your overly curly hair into a more relaxed state. Now what happens during this chemical process is the disulfide bonds and the cross bonds are broken down with the chemical. Once the hydrogen bonds and the sulfur bonds are broken, they can't be replenished. So what this means is once you put a relaxer in your hair, it cannot be undone. The only way to get a relaxer out of your hair once you put it in is to cut it out. Now most of the relaxers, whether it's Lye or No Lye, fall between 9 and 14 on the pH scale. Now once you apply the relaxer to your hair, the relaxer starts working immediately. So that's why timing charts are very important when it comes to relaxers, that you follow the manufacturer's timing instructions. So I have a few tips for whether you're using a No Lye or a Lye relaxer. Here are some of the things that I tend to stick by no matter whether it's Lye, whether it's No Lye, whether my clients tell me that they burn or whether their scalp is sensitive or not. I always use a protective base on my client's hair. What that means is I'm putting the cream all the way around the hairline, their nape, around the ears, but I'm also basing in the hair as well, all over the scalp. I always do this on each relaxer because the relaxer is so strong that it can damage your follicles if you leave it on too long, and you can risk losing your hair, and the follicle from that hair doesn't grow back once it's been chemically burned. Also, every time that I do a relaxer, I always put conditioner from the hair shaft to the ends. What that's doing is just putting a little protective base on the previously relaxed hair, so that when I'm doing my relaxer smoothing process, it's not overlapping the relaxed hair without any protective cream. Also, another rule that I always follow is I never comb a relaxer through my client's hair. Some of my clients say, oh, I want my hair to be bone straight. Leave it on there a few minutes longer. Don't rinse me yet. Those are all the things that I always avoid, because once the relaxer is put on the hair, it's immediately starting to work. If your client's hair is not being straightened to their satisfaction, what you need to do is find a different relaxer, not leave it on longer. Because when you do leave it on longer, or when you're combing it through, you are damaging the client's hair and scalp and risking that it may not be as it was before. Also, what I don't do is I never use super formulas when I come to relaxers. I always use mild or normal, because the relaxer, like I said, most of those pHs are anywhere between 7 and 14 on the pH scale. And depending on the strength of the relaxer, you don't need to use a super. Like I said before, if it's not working on their hair and their hair is not getting as straight as you want it to get, what you want to do is change relaxers, but never exceed the recommendation time. Some of the characteristics of a No Lye relaxer. The No Lye ones that I'll be talking about again is calcium, guanidine, potassium, and lithium. They always come in a two-part form, the cream base and the liquid activator. Once you mix these two together, the oxidation process starts. So when you put those two chemicals together, the relaxer is the strongest when you first mix it. So here's a tip that I like to use whenever I'm using a No Lye relaxer. I tend to mix the relaxer first, the cream and the activator, and I let it sit for about 5 minutes while I'm basing my client all around their hairline and throughout their scalp. What that's going to do is just give those two chemicals that have just connected just a few more minutes to calm down, so the relaxer is not super strong when I'm first starting off. That's a tip that I have. Also, some characteristics people normally say about No Lye relaxers that they are excessively drying. One benefit to having a lye relaxer in your hair is less drying on the hair than it is on the scalp. So let me talk about calcium. Calcium-based relaxers are No Lye, and they are the most common ones that you'll see, both professionally or being able to purchase over the counter. It's said to have the highest amount of mineral buildup on the hair. So what you may want to do the following week after you relax your hair is use a clarifying shampoo to remove some of that mineral buildup. When it comes to guanidine, it earns the second place with the No Lye relaxer because although it leaves mineral buildup, it doesn't leave as much mineral buildup as the calcium. Now the potassium-based No Lye relaxers, they're a little less popular and they're not always as widely available as calcium and guanidine relaxers. But this type is ideal if you have fine hair because it has a lower percentage of hydroxide in it. So what that does in a sense, it gives you more time to get the relaxer all over the fine hair so that the client doesn't relax super quickly and get overly straightened. Lithium is also a form of No Lye relaxer. This one, again, it leaves the least amount of calcium buildup on the hair. So with the lithium, you'll have the least amount of drying with your hair because it doesn't deposit as much mineral buildup as the other three do. And this one is also a little bit more difficult to find. But if you're looking for the lowest amount of hydroxide in the relaxer, this would be the one that you would want to use. So per se, if you want to just put something that kind of texturize your hair or soften the curl, but not necessarily get rid of 100% of it, lithium is the way to go. Now, traditionally, No Lye kits can be found over the counter in any store, widely. You can find it from drugstores to grocery stores, beauty supply stores. But I do recommend that if you can, have a professional put your relaxer in every time. But keep in mind, even professionals sometimes put your relaxers in incorrectly. Here are some tips I want you to look for when you're getting your hair done by a professional. Make sure that they're basing your hair, not just your hairline, but all the way through your scalp. That protective base is so important because if the relaxer is on the scalp, it can damage your hair follicles and you can risk your hair not growing back. Also, when you're getting your hair done by a professional, make sure that they're putting a protective cream. It can be just something simple like a conditioner. Put that cream on the shaft all the way to the ends of the previously relaxed hair. That's going to help create a barrier for when you're putting your relaxer cream and you're smoothing it at the process, that it won't overlap and damage that hair. Also, make sure that your hairdresser is starting from the back of the hair. The back of the hair tends to be the coarsest area of hair, so that part is where you want to start the relaxer. Some of the routines that I recommend that you avoid if you have a relaxer. Overuse of heat styling tools, such as blow dryers, flat irons, curling irons, etc. You don't want to use a lot of heat on relaxed hair because what that's doing is just drying out your hair, so you'll notice you'll have to trim it a little bit more often. Also, make sure that you're doing proper conditioning when you have a relaxer. Because those bonds are broken down, you are losing some of the protein when you relax your hair. So make sure you're using protein conditioners and moisturizing conditioners. Your stylist should be able to examine your hair and figure out which one you need and when. But typically, you probably want to switch every other shampoo between protein and moisture. Also, make sure that when you wear a relaxer that you don't have a lot of tight hairstyles creating tension on the hair. Example, if you're having your hair braided, to have it for a break for a while, or if you're having maybe a weave put in, make sure that you're not braiding your hair too tight because that tension on the hair that's relaxed can snap it too. And also avoid double processing. When you have a relaxer, it's very important to make sure you don't double process with different colors. A lot of people like to cover gray, so it's okay to cover gray up to 20 volume, but make sure you're not using more than 20 volume on relaxed hair if you want it to be in the optimal condition. Now, in order to maintain the moisture level in your relaxer, you'll have to deep condition each shampoo. Like I said, you want to rotate between a moisturizer and a protein. Now, if your scalp is burning quickly, I do recommend you try a sensitive scalp relaxer, and that's normally going to be a No Lye. But keep in mind that No Lye relaxer is going to be a little bit more drying on the hair, so you're going to have to do a little bit more moisture. And one of the reasons why No Lye relaxers, the pre-mixed ones that you put the activator with the creams, are so drying on the hair is because they leave mineral and calcium buildups. And an advantage to using a No Lye conditioner, it doesn't dry the hair out as much as the No Lye ones. The majority of people who get relaxers want to have their hair feeling and looking bone straight. But keep in mind, the more straight your hair is, the weaker it is. It's reducing a lot of the elasticity, and over straightening can make it really weak. So if the relaxer is left on too long, just remember that you can damage the hair or the scalp. Also be careful for improper rinsing and improper neutralizing. You want to make sure that you are rinsing the hair for a fair amount of time and you're applying the neutralizing shampoo. And always follow up after this neutralizing shampoo with a moisturizing conditioner to bring the pH balance back down. Also, make sure when you're doing a relaxer, rather you're doing it yourself or rather you're having a professional stylist do the relaxer, make sure you're only relaxing the new growth, the hair closest to the scalp. You don't want to pull the relaxer all the way down the hair because it's already been relaxed. So here's one more tip. Sodium hydroxide is used in so many different products that we use already. We use it in soaps, we use it in detergents, and we also use it in hair care products. So keep in mind that it's such a widely used product that even though sometimes relaxers are said to be taboo, you can wear one healthily if you follow all the manufacturer's instructions and do some proper maintenance routines. Here are some advantages of lye-based relaxers. They're less drying on the scalp. They have less of a calcium and mineral buildup. It is a widely used chemical and it's pre-mixed, so you don't have to. So remember though, anytime you are chemically altering your hair with the relaxer, it cannot be reversed. You have to cut it out if you want to not wear the relaxer anymore. So let me go ahead and wrap things up. When you think about having a relaxer in your hair, whether it's right for you or whether it's not, just remember to take these steps to make sure that you maintain your relaxer properly. Whenever you do a relaxer, make sure you're basing your scalp, make sure you're protecting your ends with conditioner, make sure you're always starting at the back of your hair where it's the most thickest. Also, make sure that you're doing some styles with less heat in your hair, like hooded dryers. Make sure you're doing roller sets or wraps instead of blow drying, which is extra drying on the hair, which is drying the hair out and making it break. If you do these things, then you can wear a relaxer quite nicely. And remember, there's no need to ever comb a relaxer through your hair. If your hair is not getting the proper straightening to it, then you need to switch relaxers. And always, always, always base your client's hair and scalp. If you have any additional questions, please email me at pleasantinvestments123@gmail.com. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe below. Thanks again for watching.